What's up guys, nJoi here, and with the help of some of my clanmates, I've created the unarguably fastest means of gaining reputation with any faction. This method will also feature some vanguard marks, some chest farming, some Spinmetal farming, and some Engram farming for one lucky fireteam member. You can get anywhere from at least 400 rep per hour, but you can get all the way up past 7 or even 800 rep an hour, depending on how much you get distracted. Before I get into the details, I'll tell you that this method is a highly vetted patrol farming routine that requires a fire team of 3, and the knowledge of the Earth and its map for communication purposes, so that's what you're getting into. Alright, first, let's talk about the basics, understanding the patrols. There's 5 different types of patrols. The first type and the highest priority is the VIP. It's this icon, the star, and it gives you 25 reputation for hunting and killing a very specific target. The second type of patrol is the kill everything patrol. It's this icon, the exploded ghost, and it gives you 10 rep for killing enough of, well, anything on the entire map. These are the second highest priority. The third type of patrol, we call this gathering or resources. It's this icon, and it's the triangle, but it's basically just a kill stuff patrol. It'll ask you to kill a specific type of enemy to gather material from them, and reward you with 10 rep. This is almost as good as a kill everything patrol, but with a small catch. Some enemies can be elusive in some areas, and therefore slow you down, and can be abandoned in some circumstances. The fourth type of patrol, the scan patrol, is this icon, the ghost. Travel to a specific spot, bust out Dinklebell, and get 10 rep. This is a pretty low priority patrol. The fifth kind of patrol is the scout patrol. It's this icon, the compass. Travel to a specific spot and stand there for 10 to 15 seconds, and you'll get 10 rep. This is also a low priority patrol. Alright, now that we know what the patrol types are, let's discuss the priority list. Number 1, VIP. Number 2, kill everything. Number 3, gathering resources. Number 4, scan. And number 5 is scout. What's the priority for, you ask? Well, the goal of this method is to maximize rep per hour. And through some testing, we found that this priority list nets the most rep per hour. To be more clear, these are actually in order of least likely to be abandoned. I'm referring to them as priorities because it's easier to say. You'll be picking up every patrol, but abandoning anything that won't be that quick. And that's how we rank the priority list, from fastest to slowest, on average. Unfortunately, patrols don't respawn instantly like chests do. However, they do respawn fast enough that you won't be able to outfarm them, and in the rare event that you do, it won't be for long. You will only abandon anything that will take too much time, like a stubborn gathering quest for shanks when nobody is near a multi-shank spawn, or a scan that's not near any of the fireteam members and other patrols are nearby to replace it. VIPs and kill anything patrols are the two that you will never abandon under any circumstance. VIP nets you 25 rep versus the standard 10, so it's always worth it. And the kill anything quest is always done in a matter of seconds. The others, you will learn when to abandon and when not to. I'll give some tips on that in a minute. By now you've probably noticed that we're on Earth. That's because it's the smallest and most navigable area, with the least diversity in gathering resource patrols. Now, the plan is that you've split your fire team into 3 coverage areas. One heads to the divide and the rocket yard, going between them as patrols spawn. The next manages the areas of the moth yard and the steps, and sometimes the forgotten shores, depending on spawns. The third guy, the lucky one, gets the skywatch. The lucky skywatch guy will always be picking up his patrols first, and when there are none left, he will be farming the loot cave. He will participate in any patrol that can be completed in his area, but whenever he has free time, like between patrols and during the ones that he's not active, say when the scan is in the divide and the first guy's getting it, he gets the good farm. I suggest rotating regularly, just for fairness. Alright, so you guys get the gist of it, but let's go over some more details. First, there are 3 VIP spawns, one in the steps by your original spawn point, one in the skywatch, and one in the rocket yard. The VIP itself isn't always near the patrol spawn, but they will always spawn in those locations. so make sure you're near those spawn points regularly, as they will net you the most rep. Additionally, the VIPs that it sends you to can send you to the room of the first Archon, the Devil's Lair, the Breach, sometimes the Rocket Yard, sometimes in the Shores, and even sometimes in the Skywatch. So that's why we've distributed the way we have. Remember what I said about being distracted lowering your rep per hour? Well, I was referring to public events. Depending on your priorities, there are tons of public events on Earth nowadays, and your team is split to each be in range of a public event. You can decide amongst yourselves if you want to take the time off the rep grind to get marks for the event, but it will slightly lower your efficiency as they take up to 5 minutes to complete. If you're doing public events, this is when you'll be most apt to abandon a scan or scout patrol, if it ends up being nearest to the guy busy with the public event. The public events on Earth can be any of the following 4 types. Defeat the extraction crew, which is the worst and requires the most movement, and you just have to kill 3 waves of enemies. Killing a specific target, which is the second worst for movement. You essentially hunt and kill a VIP. The third is defend the Warsat, which can be slow and difficult if you're alone, but with a group this one's quick and easy. And fourth is kill the Devil Walker, which is the easiest, typically the fastest if there are people around, but can be slow if you're alone. During idle times, each player has different farming routines. When you're not participating in the current patrol, you should focus on one of the 3 farming routines. If you're in the Skywatch, you should farm the Loot Cave. If you're in the Moth Yards, you should be farming Spinmetal. And if you're in the Rocket Yard, you should farm the chest route that's pretty well known. Unless you're on a kill stuff or a resource quest, at least one member should be free at all times to farm their routine. However, oftentimes there will be one member completing the objective and the other 2 are free to farm. The last thing I'd like to talk about, and honestly probably the most important piece of advice that I can give you, is that communication during this is paramount to your success and actually makes this farming a lot more fun than you'd think. The key to getting 600 or more rep per hour is communicating the location of each bounty objective. The VIP, scan, and scout bounties are going to be the ones that require significant travel time under normal circumstances. But since you have 3 players in 3 different locations, you can typically triangulate where they are based on all of your Ghost's nav modes. Here's an example. If you're in the Rocket Yard and it's sending you to the Divide, and the guy in the Steppes is being sent to the Forgotten Coast, the guy in the Rocket Yard knows it's not near him, and the other 2 can both head towards it, eventually being able to tell which is closer as they approach it. During that time, the guy in the Rocket Yard is free to farm his routine. You want to keep as much distance between the 3 of you at all times, to maximize the coverage you have over the whole map, and therefore increase the amount of information you can provide to one another about the objective locations. This is kind of also what I was referring to by being distracted. When this communication breaks down, you'll notice serious drops in rep gains. You'll also notice drops when the guy in the Moth Yard makes the mad dash to the Divide to get 1 star at the end of a public event. He's slowing you down a lot by reducing your map coverage once the public event is done, and he's removing an active patrol farmer for your team during the duration of the event. Staying on point is always going to be the best way to maximize your rep. As one final note, for the lone wolves out there, you can respawn into the Cosmodrome and check the Steppes VIP spawn over and over for the VIP and farm that for decent rep gains, but it's not even close to the group method, so I really don't suggest it. I hope this video helped you guys understand how to properly grind rep through patrols, and if it did, do me a solid and hit those like and subscribe buttons. They really help me out a lot. I'm also doing a giveaway for subs and Twitch follows, but I'll post those details in the description. Thanks guys.